Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Hi guys, and welcome to another Fool of the Week. This week's Fool is Michael Fabricant, or as I like to call him, the Wish.com version of Boris Johnson. Now, Michael was interviewed by the BBC where he defended the party that took place last year during the first lockdown, where while members of the public were avoiding each other, following the rules, Boris Johnson and his staff were having a bit of a shindig. Listen to how Michael describes what happened.
Look, from the rules point of view, that's going to be decided by Sue Gray and the Metropolitan Police, and we'll have to see what happens. What I'm trying to explain is that Boris and others felt sorry for people who are working long hours, and they were simply spilling out from their own offices into a secure garden, which is an integral part of number 10 Downing Street.
They were simply spilling out. Well, that's a lie because there was an email sent out. But, you know, these people were working hard, working their fingers to the bone, and Boris Johnson suggested, let's go out and have a glass of wine, or let's have a few pieces of cheese. You know, we spilled out. Then if this was the case, why did we not see doctors and nurses who were also working their fingers to the bone? I actually believe that these people were working their fingers to the bone, not the people in number 10. And how come they didn't meet in the car park for some wine and cheese? Why didn't they spill out of the hospitals and have a bit of a shindig as well? No, because they actually cared about the public. They cared about following the rules.
And you know what? I'd rather have a prime minister who felt for his staff and all those hard-working people than some cold fish who really couldn't care a toss about.
Boris Johnson did not spill out with others because he cared about these staff. He did it. He wanted his wine and cheese because he likes wine and cheese. He likes relaxing. He doesn't like working. He's a lazy bugger, okay? That's why Boris Johnson went out and had his party. It's nothing to do with work. Boris Johnson doesn't care about number 10 staff. If he truly cared about them, he wouldn't put their lives at risk here.
Described accurately, though, as spilling out when an email was sent to 100 or so people inviting them to a planned event. Tables were put out, food was put out on those tables. That's not a sort of off-the-cuff spilling out, is it?
No, but you spill out from your offices into the secure area.
An email was sent, you idiot. This was not spilling out. Spilling out is when you leave the office and there are people outside and you have a chat with them and then people gradually congregate. But there was an actual email sent out saying, bring your own booze. This was not spilling out. Now, what's interesting is you can see on the screen the lockdown rules on the 20th of May 2020. It says here, meet one person from a different household outdoors. One person. Large gatherings not allowed apart from exceptions like funerals. Were these people attending a funeral? I don't think so. Boris Johnson's career, was it the funeral of Boris Johnson's career? Unfortunately not. Work from home, they were not working from home. And they talk about closures of schools, retail and hairdressing. These people were, look, let's be honest, having a party.
There was no mixing. This is the point I'm making. So many people, you know, who were prosecuted and felt they were breaking the rules was because there was the risk of them mixing with other people whom they wouldn't have otherwise met. These were the same people who had actually worked in tight offices where, of course, the risk of contagion, as we know from Boris's own infection, the risk of contagion was far higher, in fact, far less so in an open space like the garden. It is.
They don't all work in the same office. They work in different offices in the same building. Why would you bring people? People are not supposed to mix in the building. And you're saying, well, these people were mixing in the garden, that's okay. But they were not supposed to do that.
I think the whole point, perhaps, that will be looked at by Sue Gray and the Metropolitan Police is, was that garden, you know, which is a walled garden with armed police patrolling outside, was that garden an integral part of the office space. Clearly, that was the view taken by some people who decided to get involved in that.
Should we have to wait for Sue Gray to tell us whether or not the Prime Minister was there?
I beg your pardon? Sorry.
Should we have to wait for Sue Gray to tell us whether or not the Prime Minister was there?
Well, presumably, or the Met Police, yes.
No, we don't. Boris Johnson can say, yes, I was there, or no, I wasn't there. Why do we have to wait for somebody else to tell us if Boris Johnson was there? Boris Johnson is not some entity. He's not a ghost. We don't need to investigate whether Boris Johnson was there or not. Boris Johnson, as Prime Minister, should say, yes, I was there, or no, I wasn't there.
Yes. Or maybe this afternoon, as Nick Eardley correctly reported, there's going to be an urgent question. Maybe it'll be revealed then. But
Unfortunately, it was not, because Boris Johnson did not attend. He sent the Paymaster General. Boris Johnson ran away from his responsibilities. Boris Johnson was afraid to answer questions about whether Boris Johnson attended a party or not.
I don't know. I'm not part of the number 10 team.
It's been pointed out by many, amongst them Ruth Davidson, the former leader of the Scottish Conservatives, this morning, that he knows if he was there. Why doesn't he just say so?
Well, you have to ask the Prime Minister that.
Yes, but you can't ask the Prime Minister because he's not attending sessions where he's been asked questions. Please tell us, Michael, how do we ask the Prime Minister, did you attend a meeting, if the Prime Minister is not answering questions?
I can't speak for him.
But do you think he should?
Because the circumstances by which some people might have felt that it was actually quite lawful to go from these confined offices into a...
Who said it was lawful? Please explain. Who said it was lawful for people who are in an office generally separated from each other to meet in a garden when the rules said you're not supposed to meet with other people? Unless it's one other person from another household to exercise. These people were not exercising, they were having a party.
Confined garden. This wasn't going into a public park where others could have mixed with them. And that will be the argument, I'm sure, the Metropolitan Police and Sue Gray will be considering. Look, from the rules...
This is a desperate attempt to defend the government. And it's failed. Because he has not defended the government. He has not defended Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson went to a party. We all know that. Boris Johnson is trying to avoid scrutiny. We all know that. And you have people like this guy coming out to try and defend it and failing. And that's why he's our Fool of the Week. See you next time for our next Fool of the Week.